Uh, Hello. Okay, so at the moment I'm just testing this thing because I scheduled the live stream on my computer, but obviously to make it traditional drawing I need my phone. So let's see if it's working. Okay, perfect. All right, very good. So the idea was because hey Ansuma, I asked people what they would like to see for this stream, traditional or digital, and most of the people wanted traditional. Well, a mix of traditional and digital. Just a second, let me post it in my Discord chat as well, and then we can get started. Happening now. Oops. Copied the wrong link. Yes, I love live streams because I'm so professional. Hello everybody, by the way. Welcome to the stream. So yeah, I am going to do a little bit of robot sketching, a little bit of exploration. Let's see where we end up. I don't have a precise idea. By the way, I can turn on an extra light, even though it's going to be a little bit yellow and warm. So if you guys tell me that this is not bright enough, I can do that as well. Yes, feel free to ask questions if you have any. I'm gonna warm up because I haven't warmed up in a while and it would be good. So this is something that I keep on saying to people, that it is good to warm up because the drawing muscle, just like every other muscle, needs a little bit of warming up before you start drawing. There we go, a little bit of, and these are usually the industrial designery warm-up exercises that are good for everybody, just to practice your ellipses a little bit, make those nice circles. Yes, Bogdan, robots coming soon. Yeah, this is the least exciting part, but I just want to make sure that I am up to cuff. So as I always say in industrial design, we're trying to connect these dots. You hover a couple of times and then you connect, and then hover a couple of times and then try to connect. Again, hover, and I think I'm good. Obviously, I would like to do more, but let's say this is enough for now. So I'm just gonna pop into a couple of robotics here. I was thinking of, because I was watching Shipbreakers, which is sort of a game that is still in early access, where you work as somebody who is very much in debt, and then you have to take apart a ship and sell the parts until you pay off your debt. So I thought how cool it would be if you would have like some sort of robot out in space that does these take apart things. And something, it's also good because then at least I can talk a little bit about design process, because I am an industrial designer, I don't just draw. And designing or design process is basically coming up with ideas. But your head is always full of all sorts of ideas that might be, oh, it's zooming in and out again. Yeah, sorry guys. I don't know how to fix that. One of these days I'm going to get a better camera, but it's a bit expensive getting a camera and connecting it to the TV. Jesus Christ, I'm old. The computer. But one of these days I will have a better one. In the meanwhile, I do hope it will zoom in and out less. Yes, where was I? Oh yeah, the design process. So we have a whole bunch of ideas in our heads, right? And before we come up with actually a good idea for a product or a concept or whatever, we just have to get rid of all of these ideas that we have in our head. Because if we don't put them on paper, at least for me, that's how it works. If I don't put any of these onto paper, it's just going to come back again and again. And you might want to do some good ideas, but the bad ideas that you yourself know that they're not fantastic, they will consistently come back, is what I wanted to say. Also, hello people from Brazil. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, and I had something in mind with sort of a cubicle shape. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm just throwing out a couple of cubes there. Let's see what sort of interesting shapes I can come up if I use cubes. And also just curious, exploring, thinking a little bit about functionality. What sort of appendages do you need for a robot, and where would you need these appendages? So I'm trying, because we don't need legs when you're just floating outside in space and you're repairing stuff. You don't really need legs, but you might need some more appendages like, I don't know, let's say, Jesus, what's the word for that fish? Octopus. Gee, it's not even a fish, but yeah. Sorry guys. Sometimes it happens. Hello from India. Welcome to the stream. We're doing octopus robots at the moment that don't really work. Okay, so let me try also a couple with ball shapes. Now with the ball shape, the problem is that I know quite a couple of designs that use these ball shapes as a basis of robot. And then very quickly you can fall into the problem of actually maybe using a design that already exists. And it's not because you want to copy an artist, but if you like people and if you follow them, you might have seen something and subconsciously you're just recreating that. So that can happen. Just make sure to maybe don't take your first idea, change it up, add some more things to the ideas. So I'm making these very modular, I know. Switch to menu of focus to avoid zooming in and out if you're in autofocus. Sadly, there is no option. I tried doing that. Let me see if I can do anything about that. No, there is. I just turned the camera around. That is not useful for you people at all. No, it's sadly it's just a mobile, and I don't have the option to put into manual focus. But one day, as I said, I will fix it somehow. I think if I don't move my hands up and down too much, it shouldn't be a problem. But you guys just tell me if it's really unusable. Welcome from Hong Kong. Yeah, so how about you guys? Any of you people participating in Inktober? I can really recommend Inktober. It's really fun. And exercises like that force you to think a little bit outside of your, well, not comfort zone, but it can give you prompts and it can give you ideas that otherwise you might have not come up with. So I really recommend that you jump in there. There we go. So this can be round, or it can be, maybe, I like this. Look at that. Something like this could work as well. Okay, so I also have to think about, so what's in here? So obviously some sort of actuators, battery packs, or we could also have another sort of a lifeline that goes back to wherever the space station is with its solar panels and whatnot. So it could be something like that. Just having a little bit of fun there. Something like this. Trying my best in Inktober. Yeah, it's easier and very, very motivational in the beginning. And as further you go into Inktober, the harder it's going to become. I just know that from myself. I'm always very enthusiastic at the beginning and really want to do awesome sketches and as much as I can. And then towards the end of October, I'm just a little bit burned out. I find it hard to come up with good ideas in the end. I like this little bit prolonged sort of shape here, and then maybe harder edges in the front and the back, and then from here we could have a little bit of octopus to the arms as well. By the way, this is how I always sketch. I just overlap my sketches and don't really care if they are a bit messy. So I'm sorry if something might not be that visible, but I enjoy this chaos because, like Bob Ross says as well, you make those little mistakes that create little new things for you. And I just see things when I have these overlapping lines, I might see some new things in them. So this at least for me, this is sort of part of the creative process. Lehel Suchi, hey, thanks for the industrial design sketching tutorials, really helped me, and now I'm a student at the moment. Very welcome. It's I'm happy to hear that more and more people are looking into industrial design, because it is a really fun little thing. I mean, you learn to design, you learn to sketch, you learn to think in a different way about things. So I can always recommend checking out industrial design as a career. I don't know about jobs. Like, as you can see, I'm not working as an industrial designer most of the time, but it is still extremely fun. So I'm taking this robot and I'm tilting it a little bit. So the same robot, but I'm looking at it from that point of view, because I want to see how it works from there. So we have these legs. I want them to be so retractable. So there's going to be this sort of area in the middle that can expand. Love the creative chaos. Thank you, Bogdan. It's it is chaos indeed. I am a little bit. I do have a structure in my head, but it's not necessarily visible on the paper. Marcel, what's your job? That's hard to say. I am a freelancer in the field of visual communication, would be a good description, I think, because I help people visualize things that are somewhat abstract and very hard to explain. So if I go on, I know that I would need some sort of counterbalance, so it can move something there. Okay, let me just redraw it a little bit from the foot. So what I do is basically I go to companies and I help them draw out their strategies, their visions for the future. If they have a plan for the foreseeable future where they want to implement some new ideas, usually they send these through the companies in very boring PowerPoint presentations, a lot of them, and nobody wants to see that, right? So, well, it's not that nobody wants to see it, but it's so boring, they're not going to be read. I need to drink some water because I'm becoming raspy. All right, sorry about that. But yeah, so instead of a company sending through pages and pages and pages of text what their plans are, I help them put everything into one bigger visual. So that is one of the things that I do. Then the other things is I also do visual facilitation or visual visual recording. So when you have a big event, I can sit in as well and not necessarily lead the conversation and transform it into a visual, but I can just listen along and create a visual map of what happened in that particular, shall we call it, conference, maybe. And then another thing that I do is also I do concept art here and there if it's needed. And I also do industrial design. Indeed, I did a bottle design for a company that is a sustainable plastic, made out of sustainable plastic material, and is supposed to be reused. And I did basically the shape giving, form giving for that bottle. That was my last industrial design job. So I do basically a lot of stuff that has to do with visualization and visual communication. That's why I said that I do mostly visual communication. Okay, this needs to be a little bit fatter, I feel like. Something like this, maybe. All right. Is the mic popping for you all too? Oh, sorry guys. I will, maybe I was talking too loud. Usually I have no problems with the mic, but apparently today it just doesn't want to cooperate with me for some reason. I was quiet for a second there, but yeah. So what I was trying to do here is I'm thinking how this little robot would do the propulsions, but I'm thinking maybe if I cut into it here, so it would have sort of a head with a camera here, something like this, that would make it a little bit cuter. And also a little bit, I like to do retarded designs a little bit because it looks a little bit silly like that. But then I could add, like I feel like if I would add some sort of rotation device here on, like basically where I put those. So we would have the head here, and then we would have just two exhausts here that can spin around and do the tss sort of thing. I think that might work. Let me just do another one. So what I like to do as well when I do this, just change around the perspective a little bit, do a bit more forced perspective in this case. So I'm drawing it from above now. This is where its head would be. Right, something like this. There we go. And then let's say he looks up at me. Not looking up totally, but a little bit that way. Another NIM, near. Is that from Near Automata? I'm not sure I know what you mean by that. Okay, so here we have a little thing. So here would be sort of like a ball thing that can rotate, and then we would have this area down here. I immediately saw a problem with this that I don't like anymore. So if it is working somewhere, it will need to tilt, right? So the head would tilt down there and this would tilt down. Basically, this camera would not see what's happening there. So I can transform that camera into an exhaust. I think then, if I tilt the whole body and transform the camera or the head, formerly known as head, into an exhaust, then sort of the front of the robot would be this splitting four-proned leg system. Can you give some tips for budding industrial designer? Yes. What would you like to get tips about? if you're studying industrial design, you already get a lot of tips there. What I would say is take the classes that you're not so excited by. Because when I was studying, there were a whole bunch of classes that I didn't take, that after I finished my studies, I sort of was angry at myself that they were out of my comfort zone. They were business-related classes. They were not aesthetic-related classes, but research-related classes, facilitation classes. So a whole lot of things that I thought are not interesting to me, and I just didn't want to study them. But I sort of ended up using a lot of that later on in the field that I work in. And it's a bit sad that I didn't put more effort into learning those. Yeah, I went back to, I should have stuck with, I could make it a little bit shorter. Yeah, I should have done that. And then here we have sort of this propulsion system. But yeah, step out of your comfort zone as much as you can. That's my main thing that I can advise you to do. I hope that you would. Yeah, I will. So the idea is that I'm trying to explore the shape now a little bit. Then once I have a good idea of what I want it to be, which I don't have just yet, I'm going to take a photo of it and put it into Procreate. I feel like I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with the non-leggy part of it. Because I know now that I want sort of like a propulsion system here. But I find it a little bit basic. So it's a really hard sort of, what's the word? Barrier between being too simplistic and having a nice, simple design. And I'm trying to fit in there. Other than that, if anybody is interested in industrial design, I always try to emphasize the fact that industrial design is not just sketching. Industrial design is really a whole lot of things. Also, it could be a lot of engineering, it could be management, it could be marketing related. So there are a whole lot of things that you have to do and learn as an industrial designer. As in also many other jobs as well. But also if you, it's the same thing if you really love drawing and you think I want to go freelance. The problem is that drawing is going to be, I don't know, 60% of the time that you're doing, and the rest is going to be running a business if you're a freelancer, and that business is you. Oof, sorry guys. I just ate not so long ago. Okay, so we have these here. I like this. I could maybe cut this shorter. Oh, what if I just mirror this? No, I don't like that. Oh, wait a second. So if I do a side view of it. So what I want to do, I want maybe here and here, if we add sort of exhaust that can pivot both ways, because then I can really achieve a good range of movement. And then we have the legs here. Okay, I think I like that. And then we would have maybe a camera here. And that could be on the other side as well. Yeah, I can live with this. Okay, so let me just do this upper side one more, and then we have sort of a thing that we go on with. As a visual communicator, can you say one of your main skills is being fast? Yes. Yes, it is. So being fast is not necessarily so important in many drawing fields, but since I'm not doing the beautiful renderings all the time, for me, the most important thing is for the client to understand his vision or my vision, whatever I'm putting onto paper. And that many times has to happen fast. So yeah, I would say it's definitely an asset if you can draw something fast. Also, I think the neighbor decided to drill a little bit. So sorry if you guys are hearing that. But yeah, so there's two types of things. One, when you're sitting in on a session and you're quickly drawing out what the client might need. And obviously there's a lot of benefit in being fast there. Another thing is when you're at the conference and then you're summarizing everything. The hard part there always is that aside from drawing fast, you have to be able to pay attention what somebody says, transform that into some sort of visual, and also draw it out. So you're doing a lot of things in your head that are not easy at all. So how was this? I wanted it to the front and to the back. I feel it comes together here, and I'm losing a little bit. What if I split it into 3? I don't want it to be very symmetrical. So something interesting about design is symmetry becomes a little bit boring. I always found that funny because in the human face, we are looking for symmetry, and that's what we find attractive as well. But in design, symmetry is a little bit boring in it. Okay, so I just want... Okay, so what if I put this sort of triangle on top of my robot body? So with this triangle, I'm just trying to simulate this thing now, and I have this nice, well, it would probably come a little bit to the front, something like this. This would be the main. And yeah, I am flipping my paper quite often because that's just how I'm used to. You always get like a favorite position for your hand, and it's going to be easiest for you if you can switch the paper to that position. Okay. Yeah. And then I wanted to try out a little bit. As you see, I use a lot of basic shapes, which can change later on. But instead of using these round ones, which I do like robotic arms, at least the ones that are octopus-like, that can move around a little bit freely. I like making them a little bit flat. I don't know why, it's just a weird quirk decision that I like. I think that works, at least it works for me. Still don't like that. So yeah, this is also something that you don't see all the time behind nice drawings. There you can go through a lot of ideas until you find something that you enjoy. It doesn't always just like you take up a pen and the first drawing is working. And also that's why many people who just start out drawing, they are not able to draw what they want, and that is very demotivating, and it can make you want to stop whatever you're doing. So just see that no matter how much experience you have, you can still have a day when you're struggling. I would love to just start up the stream and then immediately have a design in my head that I like and everybody likes, and we can just go on with it. But that doesn't always happen. Like the easiest would be if I put sort of a sphere here on top of it, right? And then I can put exhausts in 3 directions. And then that can sort of pivot in whichever direction it wants to pivot. And then I have propulsion. Ooh, I just had an idea. Yeah, so what I want to try, so I have sort of this camera lens here. And what if I have something that usually pushes my little guy from here? So we have sort of this legs just chilling here, and then we have sort of an exhaust here, and then we're going that way. But then this, if needed, can swivel up here and push us down if necessary. So I do like this. And then one thing that I would maybe add to this is these legs. I would just call them legs. Some of them to, maybe 1 or 2 to have also some sort of CO2 exhaust, something. And then it can push back on this if I have a specific direction. And I could also just add these here. Springs. What do you mean? Where would you add the springs? I'm curious. Okay, so let me do this. Let's draw him from behind, I would say. And I think I have it, like, it's not that I have it, but I do want to get into the bigger drawing and the rendering as well. So I'm just gonna stick with this. That's why design can last for a long time sometimes, because you can come back and just change your idea. Or no, people can iterate on it, is what I meant. So current idea is that we have sort of an exhaust here. There it is. Obviously this is too big. For now it's okay. I might make it smaller. And then down here we have the legs. 1, 2. And then we have 2 more hanging there. And 1 more. I could make these are a bit too thick, but that's okay. And then I was also thinking, like, these corners, they could be like CO2 vents. So if needed, it can do those tsish 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 noises, and then just rotate the body in the direction that it's needed. Looks like a space Swiss Army knife. Yeah, it's not sure if that's fantastic. You don't want to overcomplicate your designs. So that's what I usually like to do. It's not overcomplicate them, but I do like this one a lot. So I'm gonna try to draw him out final time here. Let me see how this works out. And what I like to do is just draw it from several angles to make sure that I communicate all the relevant information. Okay, so this will be the body. I might have rounded it a bit too much there, but whatever. as you can see, I put that ellipse in a wrong angle, but I'm not discouraged by that. It's not a problem. You're gonna have a lot of lines, and we're still you're always exploring with your drawing. That's why I like drawing. I like to call it not that I like to call it, but it is iterative, right? So you draw something. If you don't like something, just redraw it. And that's also why I like drawing with pen. As industrial designer, at least you get used to it. They force you to do it. It's super easy to kill your ideas. Like if you draw something, and even if you like it, like it's super easy to make a mistake. So you get used to your drawings being disposable, and you never fall in love necessarily with something that you drew. You can always just like, okay, let me squiggle over it and draw something else instead. All right, and then I'm going to add a little bit space here for the camera, which was, I don't know why it was on a rotating thing like that, but that's how I drew it. So that's how I'm going to draw it again. And then here we ended up with another one of these. And I feel like I got a little bit stiff on this drawing. I mean, some of these are more energetic than this, and that happens when you want to do your final drawing, because you're just so much looser when you're still exploring. And as soon as you want to put down those finer lines, you start to become a little bit rigid, and that can happen. But I'm just not really worried by it at the moment, because I wanted to draw him from several angles anyways. And this, I was complaining that this is too big, and then I made it much bigger here. Oh boy. Oh boy. But yes, so let's just put in these little corner spiffers, I'm gonna call them. It just sounds like a good word. Okay, and let's do another angle, and then these I can sort of color up and appropriate once I take a photo of this. So here we have his little face eye thing that can look around, but actually it can't really look around. Might be in a V2. If I would draw a V2, I would make this definitely a more rounded shape, so that can swivel a bit freer. But as I said, I want this to be a bit of a more retarded design. There we go. And there's our lower area. And then we have the connection point here. Just make the lines a little bit stronger so it pops a bit better. There, just like that. and then I can 1 and 2. This would come like this, and that seems to be coming like that. And the idea was that this can sort of do stuff like this. Right, so it expands, and then we have the claw here that can do all sorts of repairs. And then, yeah, I don't care about the mechanical function of these. We saw enough. We can sort of imagine how that might work. And this one is still so connected together. So now at least here we can see how it comes out from there. And I decided to go with rounded after all. There's a bit of shadow there. And then these claws are closed because we're not using them. Something like that. It would be cool if I would have more use for this side from just rotating, but I want to show the rotation somehow at least. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of something like that there. There we go. I think this is okay. Okay, I like this more. Let's not forget about his back legs. One is there, and the other one is maybe not visible. I think, do I want another one? Yeah, let me put this again because I think that's a cool one. So just in a smaller version here, quickly. It's sort of like doing a 360 rotation of your robot. I don't have no bottom shots, but I don't think they're that important. And since I have it flying here, I might not need it flying there, so I might have it doing some sort of repair or something. Maybe it's also just in standby, and this is pivoted upwards. Actually, it was cuter when it was smaller, so I messed that up a little bit, but it's okay. I'll make it. This is definitely way too big, so that's something that maybe I can fix digitally in a second. And now it's looking that way, and I'm gonna have one of the legs just hanging down there. We can't see. The other leg is rotated back. Let's do a connection here, because we have this sort of cylinder still attached there, and then this leg is looking forward, and let's detach it. Let's have it. Oh, that's a bit too thin in it. There we go. I'm fine with that. And then the other one can also too thin, but that just gives us a bit more shadow area. So now it's sort of working on something here. It's not that important for us to know what's it working on, Just good to know that it can do that. All right. Just rounding it up a little bit. As I said, this is sort of tilted upwards. Show that there's where the tilting going. You can show a little bit of the roundness here, just like this. Bring some of that in there as well. There we go. And this is our little space robot. Now let me take, where is the iPad? There we go. So I'm just gonna take a picture of this. Put this to the side. Bring up Procreate, and there's a photo. Okay. What I'm going to do is cut this out. Just duplicate it, take this one away, and now I can do a little bit of, I'll leave it here. So adjustments, we go to curves and apply it to the layer. I'm just going to push up the whites and bring down the blacks. There we go. And that looks okay-ish. Okay-ish. No, that is good. That's good. What I can do is push. Usually I duplicate this just so I'm not destructive. And then I just try to do the same thing again. I go to curves, layer, push the white some more. That's a bit too much. Let me erase a couple of these. So push the whites. Okay, what I can do is I bring this back. I put it on, well actually I duplicate it again because I do not want to destroy it. I put it on top of it and I put it onto, where's my multiply? It's all the way up here. And I also put a mask on it. There's definitely a better way to do this, but this is how I work at least. And I'm going to take a big airbrush and I'm just going to take out this lower part. And I'm doing this because if you pay attention, the black became quite a bit whiter there. Well, not whiter, but lighter. And I do not want it to be lighter. So this is okay. What I do now is just select all of this. I make a copy all and I make a paste. And then all of these I don't need at the moment. What I can do again is do the same thing. Curves, layer, push up the whites a bit. And now I can bring down the blacks. And it's a bit fidgety, but we'll get there. Done. There we go. I think this is almost there. I just duplicate it once and put it on multiply so the lines become a little bit darker. Let's see if that helped. Yeah, here in the middle. Yeah. And merge down. And I'm just gonna take all of these away because I don't care. Obviously, I'm gonna put it on multiply because I want this to be hello, lines, layer, and now I'm just making a new layer below it and I can start filling these shapes. I think I'm going to color this one. I'd like to use the lasso tool a lot, even though technically I want to see what I'm doing here. So I'm going to take an airbrush. I think I have a blue. Color doesn't matter at this moment to me, because the color I can change at any given time. So just, I'm going to start coloring in a little bit the shapes here. And then just drop it there in the middle. Make sure that there's not too many white spaces left. And I think that's good. I'm going to go, actually going to lock it. Not like that. Like that I meant. So I just lock the pixels. I'm gonna go to a slightly grayer blue. I'm doing this just so I have differentiation. There we go. And this is below it. And now I can see that I could do a bit more with that light blue. Coming back here, unlocking the pixels. Like this also belonged to the upper body. I forgot about this part here. There we go. Actually, I'm not going to lock it because now I can also do this. Make it a bit thicker. And I'm just going to do these legs with the same blue because I think they belong to the same sort of material. At least that's how I would do it. To have a little bit continuity in the design. Okay, and then this part here as well. This is also blue. And same here. This is also, oh, went out a little bit there. But this is also blue. That's fine. And I'm gonna add one above it. And then we have our, yeah, I wanted to make this smaller, right? Let me see if we can do that. Again, duplicate as always, just to have a backup. And then make it a bit smaller. Oh, that's good. I like that. I'm gonna take a more brushy pen, make it smaller. Let's see if, yeah, I think that sort of fits. Yeah, that fits. So I'm just gonna adjust the lines a little bit here to make it fit better. Is this the same distance? Yeah, it is. You can erase it. Don't want to make it, oops. Don't want to make it too perfect with the lines because then we lose a little bit of the non-digital edge. And I could have done it digital, non-digitally as well. Yes, I'll leave that there. Come back here, select my hard airbrush again, back to this color, and just fit it in nicely. Well, actually, I just want to do the rotating part because the rest belongs to the blue. And there we go. Just like that. And then this little part here as well. Nope. It's a bit impatient. Yeah, I think that's good. Here, this part needs to go. Cut a little bit like that. Yeah, and then clear. And I want this part as well. Where should that be? Below. And I'm gonna go with a bit of a green, gray, green thing. Do we have the new layer? Yes, correct layer selected. It could be slightly brighter. I'm just gonna drop a brighter green on top of this once I filled it in. So this filling in is usually the not sexy part as well. Like you can do it with a lasso tool and just nicely select and click through it as well. And I could do it here, actually. I might come back, let's see. But I wanted a less saturated. Let's see how this looks, but it's still too dark. Let's come up to the lighter. And I'll make it a bit even lighter. Yeah, okay. I think that's good. All right, now I can lock all of these so I don't go outside of the pixels. Do you have a matte screen protector on your iPad? No, I do not. It's shiny and glossy as hell, which usually doesn't bother me. But right now, the LEDs that give me the light here, sort of, you can see the LED dots reflected there, which is not fantastic. And you can also see probably a whole bunch of fingerprints there. Yeah, usually I do this in daylight, or at least under different lighting conditions. I'm gonna bring that down a bit, and I'm gonna take a medium airbrush and bring it in here a bit. Just gonna bring this a little bit more towards the grayscale as well. So rendering is not necessarily what I love to do. And I usually do quick renders because I just like working out ideas more coming up with ideas than actually rendering them out in a pretty way. Might be a bit big, so let's come in here and might go a bit more towards a bright white as well, like this. Yeah, like that. I can also take soft brush I'm still on. I'm gonna take a darker version of this. I might push it a little bit more there just to have a bit more color in there. I don't want to touch the legs at the moment. Can you make a short comparison with Sketchbook Pro? Which one do you prefer and why? I like this for rendering a bit more, too saturated, way too saturated. I like this for rendering more because it reminds me of Photoshop, and I find it easier to render with. And I want to deselect this, so minus. I don't want to go into the top of it. There we go. So yeah, as I said, because Procreate is a little bit closer for me to Photoshop, I just like it more for rendering. And also, like, I just got used to sketching more with Procreate than with Sketchbook. I find Sketchbook saves, the PSD that you save with Sketchbook, I don't know, I don't want to say it's not as good, but I just have issues with it. Let me pop this one out for me. I want to see, because we have this, so I'll bring it closer to here and darken it up. No, I'll stick in this area. Yeah. And brighten this up. I'm still not used to working with it being out there. Nope. This is the one I wanted. Yeah, and now I can take the round brush. Too big. digital pen. Give it a little bit of highlight. All right. Maybe I could go around and enhance this a little bit as well. Just give it a slight edge here. Just a bit of shine, not too much. I'm not trying to be super precise with this now. Okay, now what I should do is this one, right? I should unlock it, take this color and apply it here. Doesn't need to be that color, but just for now, so I know that this part is slightly different. Let me take one more sip of water. Thank you. Sorry about that. Once again, throat gets a bit too dry. All right. Lock it again. I'm going to select just this and soft brush. Come all the way in the... how about I give it an orange, since that is a nice complementary color to this one. Alright, so I'm just going to lighten it up a bit, pull it more towards there. Okay, let's have this as the base. Coming back here, brightening it up a bit. Way too saturated, obviously. Also, I'm in a shadow, so I don't want to make it too bright. So maybe this should be the brightest, but then I think I want to take away from the saturation. We're in a shadow, and we do not want to have it that saturated. Okay, and then the shadow, the darker area, I can make even darker. Well, technically, just that area there. I want to go a bit brighter and just give it... Ooh, that's not something I thought I selected. There we go. I like to bring in a little bit of graphic look to it. Yes, that would actually be a good idea. Thank you for reminding me that. It was an ad, right? Canvas reference. There we go. Good idea. See, I totally forgot about this. Yeah, I didn't quite use all the new tools of Procreate just yet. Let me clean these lines a bit. I want just a slight bit of cleanliness here. And I feel like it would have been nice to have a bit more of this rotating here as well. And back we go to this one. But yeah, good. Thank you for reminding me on that one, because I should be zooming in less. Come just a bit darker. Ooh, too thick. There we go. This one throws a bit of a shadow there. and a bit of a shadow there as well. And then I can take some of this. Make it a little bit thinner. Did I have this color? I'm going to push it just a little bit brighter. There we go. Yes. And a bit there as well. Okay, and as always, just a red menacing eye, because robots are going to kill us sooner or later. And then we can add just a bit of blue to that. Probably on top of everything, not in there. So I'm just gonna make a highlights layer here. And then just a bit of white. There we go. Friendly as always, isn't that? Okay, let me deselect this. I am going to do this upper part as well. I'm still on the right layer. If I go back there, I don't think I will fully render this one out because I didn't want to spend, I still have to do something else tonight, but I'm gonna try and take it as far as I can. There we go. And then we're gonna give a bit more definition of the shape. Remove this, remove this, remove that, back to the brush. And let's take a much brighter version of this. I can also push it a little bit away from that blue. All right. Of course it's not threatening. Like red robot eyes are the color of love. Everybody knows that. And let's give another one here. I feel like it could be a bit thicker. Like that. Yeah, and then just a thin sliver. I can go a bit even brighter with this one, something like that. All right. Take that pen, bring in a little bit of this, just like that, and then I can also add just some touches here and a little bit there. And very gently there as well. We'll do a little bit of the same here. Just take this. Well, actually, wrong brush. Let me take this. Did I select it? No. Can be a bit thicker. There we go. Just give that little bit of shine to it. Where are you? There you are. Okay, and same to this one. Well, actually, I can take some of this dark. I feel like this one could be even darker. Back to this one. I did not select the color. Pull it down a bit, make it bluer. Yeah, here I wanna definitely, oh, not there. Come back here because that darker area is from the shadow. So I wanna take away from that a bit. Minus. Okay. Rendering is something that I find just takes a lot of time, and I do not know. It's just not as exciting, at least for me. See, that's here, and I still keep on zooming out. Okay, to be fair, it was in the wrong position, and I couldn't see it that well because of the light that was shining on it. But that's just an excuse. I need to get used to it. I like this. Okay, I feel like I could push it just a bit more. Sorry, my head hit it. Yes, this stream is going to be saved, and it is going to be on my channel, for sure. Okay, now we can come back and do some things in this blue area, because let me take the other brush. Here we have some of the darker blues, and I feel just in general this could be a little bit darker because, oh, not thick enough. Okay. Now I can come back with this. And now, well, this is an interesting shape. So now I have to think a little bit how it throws its shadow, because it's sort of, okay, let me draw it out just for myself. Sometimes it's a bit hard to do the shadow correctly. So I'm gonna take a red, and I'm gonna take my sketch brush. So we have this sort of distorted thing here, which if I duplicate it comes there as well. Let me blow it up a bit. It should be somewhere here. No, why did you move? Come back here. Okay. It moved again. Samama. Okay, please don't move. Okay, so this means basically my shadow would be this area here. Right. So now I come here. I'm actually going to put it on a layer above it just to be sure. And the shadow should be just a bit more patience, Robert. Just a bit more patience. Let me make this. Oh, sorry about that. My head hit it again. Let me. There you go. That's a bit of a nicer curve. Okay, so this should be the shadow. I do want to do something with it. I want to feather it just a bit, like 1%. I don't want it to be too harsh. I don't care about that layer. Oh no, where did I put that? Okay, I don't care about that. Good. Back to our soft brush, and I want sort of like this. Oh, it's not feathered enough. 3 might be too much. Okay, I'll leave it on 2. That's better. this is not necessarily how I want it, because oops. So I want the shadow here to be darker where it's closer to this area, and it becomes a bit softer as we go out from it. Something like this. I do like how this looks. I feel I could go even darker with this. So I'm going to make my brush a bit thinner so I can work a bit more precisely. So it becomes super dark there, and it becomes lighter as it goes away. And like this could be super dark. So I'm just going to switch back to a normal hard brush, make it much darker, maybe take away from saturation, and just paint it in there. There, like that. Still like watching your workflow. I always forget to use the tools and layers available. Oh yeah, it happens to me often as well. Like it's just, you want to be safe, right? If this didn't work, I can take it away at any time if I decided that I don't like how it looks. So yeah, use them all. Dion here from SA. Thanks for all the wonderful tutorials. Wow, very welcome, man. I'm glad you people find them useful. That's actually always making me happy. And I decided I want to make the shadow a little bit darker here as well. And take away from this. Go back to this layer. And I still have my soft brush here. Actually, now I could step away from my soft brush and go a little bit experimental. Let's see how big it is. And just bringing a little bit of texture, which I think works nicely. Yep. Do the same here, which it doesn't work that nicely there, but I can still try again. It was a bit too smooth for my taste. So I feel I can bring in a little bit of texture like this. Should be nice. Take some of these as well. Maybe push it just a bit and bring some of it back here. I keep on hitting the camera, sorry guys. I have too big of a head. Can't be helped. Cannot be helped. Okay, and I want to round it off at the edge. So we need a smaller airbrush and like that. Okay. Yeah, the leg. I'm gonna do this leg because I think it just needs to be done. Still on the right layer, still the airbrush, maybe make it a little bit bigger. Can take this color. And there we go. I can actually I want a little bit of a harder edge shadow here. And it becomes, there we go. I think that looks sweet. And I can take some of this blue and introduce it here. I feel I could use a thinner one as well. Might be a bit too shiny. Let's see. Whole bunch of experimentation here. Also too strong. Yeah, I like this. This looks cool. And I can push it up again and give a little bit of edge here, just like this. Okay, that's I can work with that. That looks good. Same can be done for here. Obviously not as dark because we have more light hitting this one here. I'm gonna have much more of the light going on here, at least the light surface. There we go, and then a little bit of this darker here, and then bring back some here again. You just need to communicate. It doesn't need to be perfect. That's always what I say. And we can have some extra shine just in there. Okay, and I just saw this, and I want to make sure that there is like an elevation of the material. So just to make it understand, there we go. So yeah, it already pops much better just by doing that little thing there. Okay, and let's do this. Actually, let me see. I want to look for a little bit of hose. I think might work. Yeah, but fabric maybe. Hose, fabric. What does that give me? Images. Not pantyhose, please. Something like this. This is actually perfect. Copy. And paste. I'm going to push it on the top of everything. And I am going to copy one of these. I'm sorry, I become quite silent when I have to do these precise selection thingies. And give me a duplicate. Take this away. I need it bigger. No. Something like this. And I have a little bit of an artifact here with the selection. It went bad. So I'm gonna clear that and we're gonna try overlay. And maybe warp, because I want to use it there and come back down. There, I think that's pretty okay. Thank you, Bogdan. Erase the parts that are not fitting. And now just paint over a little bit here and there. There it is. I'm going to select the darker and make it a little bit more see-through and a bit thicker. Or not on the thing itself. I want a new layer, so this should come here, and I'm gonna paint on top of it just because. Make this area darker. And it should be a bit darker there as well. Okay, let me, where is it? Clipping mask and clipping mask there, so I don't have to worry about going out of bounds. And then I can take one of the brighter areas and make sure. No, I could have been taken a much brighter. There we go. That's what I wanted to go for. So now we have a little bit of texture in there as well. But yeah, as I said, like usually the rendering part is the one that takes the longest, because you can go in and do so many little details. I feel like this has a little bit of more browns in it as well. So I'm just gonna take my other sketching tool, a bit too bright. Come back here, let's see how this works. Really not a big fan of how that looks. So I'm gonna just take color here and I'm gonna shift it a bit down. Let's see. Yeah, I like it more like that. But yeah, this is really finicky detail that I don't want to do right now necessarily. Oh, switch position. What I could still do is I need to do this part, which is here, because I did not pay attention to this at all. And now that the laziness bug bit me, I'm just gonna go here and jet exhaust. This is what happens when you become lazy. Images, and it's all the wrong angles. Well, actually this is the good angle. Some of these are cool, but I want to be looking back on them. So I'm just gonna take the one that I have here, give it a copy, give it a paste. Tap, 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 tap. I only want, or need, to be more precise, this part here. Duplicate. I hide this, push it away, and this one comes here. Needs to be smaller and a bit rotated, and it also needs to be warped because it's supposed to be much rounder. There we go. The good old overlay. Does anything fit better actually? No, I find overlay to work best. Okay. We're done warping, buddy. We're done warping. We're just moving it now. But I am going to where is, oh, they changed this, yeah, bit hue saturation layer. I don't want any saturation on that one. I wanted to take over the color from stuff from below, and there I am going again, hitting the camera. All right, I'm gonna actually pick this color here, and I'm going to merge this down. Oof. No. No, no, no. Small eraser. Yeah, sometimes it happens when you just put things onto a clipping mask and you don't adjust them properly. Okay. So let's make sure that I go to the highlights layer and just change it a little bit here. darker, darker. Okay, I think that's sort of fine. I want maybe a little bit of cheating shine here on top of this. So let me just add another layer, put it on top of this one. This is the very cheaty industrial designery. Let's add a shine effect there. I'm just gonna go straight onto white and much thicker airbrush, obviously. There we go. I think that works. I do want, now I'm gonna add just a couple of highlights. Wrong brush. So I want there to be a shiny edge to, oh, that's too white, way too white. Let's do this instead. There we go, nice shiny edge to it. The same here. Just try until you're satisfied. That's why it's digital. And now I'm going to take the eraser and just come back a little bit on this. Make it a bit thinner. And cut it off. Just there, perfect. I like it. And then, okay, last thing that I'm doing, because I do want to, and this one I didn't do nothing yet. So I would say, let's pick this color, and I'm just gonna move it over into the green as well. Bring down the saturation. Oof. It's not really dark now, is it? And it's a bit too green for my taste. There we go. I'm gonna make it thinner. So we have sort of, well, a throne shadow here as well. Just like that. We want it to be palpable that there's a shadow there. And we can, ooh, did I switch to eraser? I did, didn't I? There we go. And now we can sort of do the same thing as before, just add a little bit of highlight. Let's see how thick this is. Can be slightly. And a bit more highlight. Come on. Wow. Just to, ooh. My fingers really go everywhere today, don't they? Okay, and I want just a slight line there, and then I'm gonna come back with yeah, there we go. And because I don't want it to be too shiny, I'm gonna try and see if I can come back with a quick texture brush and just rough it up a little bit. I like this. I'm also gonna add in a bit of color variation. Actually, let me take away the first one and come with a bit of color variation from the get-go. Like almost a bit of rust, maybe, or something like that. There we go. Good. Yeah, I think I'm gonna stop here for now. maybe finish this later on. But right now, I had fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. As always, hit that like button if you did, or then dislike if you didn't. It was a bit of a quiet stream today. Usually I'm more talkative. Sorry about that. But yeah, have a great week and see you with the next video. Until then, bye bye everyone.